So it looks like we have a quorum and it's time. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Let's see, the usual announcement. Pursuant to Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, this meeting will be conducted via remote means. Members of the public who wish to access the meeting may do so in the following manner. Join the Zoom meeting at https tinyurl blah, 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 that stuff. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so for reasons of economic hardship and despite best efforts, we will post on the Westborough Public Library's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. This meeting will be recorded, and you should have all seen the recording announcement already. Okay, let's see. So we've called to order public forum. Steve, do you have anything you want to say? And are there any other members of the public here that I'm missing?
Know about any other? Go ahead.
So yeah, go ahead.
Do we know who the unidentified telephone number is? 4928.
Hi, Ed. This is Brian from Vertex. I just couldn't get to my computer right now.
Oh,
so
hi.
I'm on the road
Okay.
currently.
Okay, great.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Lee. Thank you.
Hi, Brian.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had a few things to talk about today.
Okay.
I had spoken to Mary, and Bill Linane about a month ago, and I told them I had some things that I wanted to submit to make sure we got estimates for, so we could do various comparisons. I just finished the list today. There are about 8 items. I'm going to send it to Mary and Ed and Bill, and we can go from there. However, there's a couple things that I would like to bring up that I think are important that I want to highlight. The first one is, so I went through the letter from LPA that included the scope of work. And the second item in the scope of work about accessibility compliance, on the right-hand side, it says that the building value for the library is $806,400, but it's really $2.395 million. And that's as of today on the assessor's website. And I think for accuracy, that's a big enough change in number that both the scope of work and their letter should be updated. Agree, disagree?
In
It's
theory,
not on our agenda to agree or disagree
well,
with that right now.
let me.
Okay, I'll submit it and
yeah,
hope you do the right thing.
let me throw out a couple of points here. I've learned something about how to handle public comments and what the rules are. And in theory, the public body is supposed to listen and not comment. And if we want to have a more open discussion, we need to do it outside the public meeting forum with something less than a quorum of the members of the committee. So Steve, if you'd like to set that up, I will be happy to meet with you, and we can bring in whatever other interested parties are available to do that. I'll also say,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, no, go ahead, Steve.
What's the open forum for them?
That is part of it. Yeah, that would certainly be something. But if we needed something that was more one-on-one, or a smaller group and more of a discussion, I'd be happy to do that. Much like when you were speaking to Mary and Bill earlier. The other point is I noticed the same thing in the SOW and was planning to ask LPA to fix that today also. Mary.
Yep. So I just following off of that. So public forum is so where you can come and make a statement, but we are not going to respond. I think I explained that to you in our meeting, that's a time where we can listen, but we're not responding. And so that's what Ed is talking about. If you want to set a separate meeting to talk to him so that you could get a response to a question you had. That's something to do outside of it, but public forum in a meeting is you can share and we will listen and take notes, but we won't give a response during that time.
Okay, fair enough. It didn't sound like it was going in that direction.
Okay.
It sounded
And
like a
Steve-
completely separate meeting, and you know that
Yeah.
that we couldn't say anything. Public couldn't say anything in this meeting.
My understanding is the public can say essentially whatever they like, but that we as a board can't comment on that. And having responded to your comment by saying we can't respond, do you have anything else?
Yeah, again, I have about 8 items, but I only wanted to bring up, and I'll either email them to the appropriate people on the board. But I did want to highlight a couple of them. I already highlighted one. Another is one of the scope of work items was to provide a new exterior rain screen wall system and continuous insulation at 1980 exterior walls. And one of my questions that I think is important to get answered is what is the analysis of the energy savings? And the last item that I'll bring up here and email as part of the 8, there's an estimate to convert from the HVAC system from natural gas to all electric. I would like an estimate for the current natural gas HVAC system to be repaired, whatever the necessary repairs are, to compare with the cost of conversion to all electric, and think it's also appropriate to have an analysis of the energy savings presented to the public as well. Okay, I'll email these after the meeting to Ed, Mary, and Bill Lenane. If anybody else wants them, I'm happy to email them to them as well, and then we can set up a separate meeting to discuss any questions or comments. That's all
Great.
I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your deep dive into these materials. It's a lot of work there. Lee, you have your hand up.
Yeah, just to clarify, open forum, it is a place where a member of the community can request something be put on a future agenda. But it's important to remember you can't just come to open forum and add things to the agenda for that meeting. It has to be done by request and ahead. So the capability of putting something on the agenda is there, Steve. It just has to be done in advance.
Yeah, I was a little late for this meeting. I just finished going through the scope of work today. So I just wanted to bring up a couple, and like I said, I'll email them, and if we need to put it on a future agenda, we can do that too. Yeah.
Because the
Thank you.
agendas have to go out with the notice of the meeting, so the public sees what the agenda is ahead of time. So that's that 48-hour time frame before the meeting and everything. There are rules about that. Thank you.
And I'm glad to see you feeling better.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other members of the public? I saw Bill Gilbert on the screen, and I'm not sure.
Ted Gilbert?
Oh, what's that?
Ted Gilbert?
Ted Gilbert. I'm sorry. Yes.
Great. See you tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. So next item on the agenda is review of the presentation slides. Maureen, would you like to share those?
Yep, just give me a second. I don't think I have them open.
I can put them up if you like.
Sure, go ahead. You have it open.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm disabled.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
Okay.
Did everyone on the committee get a chance to review the slides? No,
I did.
I see a few.
I looked at them.
So what I sent was to just kind of give you an idea of the direction that I was thinking for the presentation. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. The script is not included in the slides that I sent.
Somebody's got to mute themselves.
Everybody mute, please.
Thank you. So I was saying the script is not included in the speaker notes yet because I'm still working on that. But I wanted you to see kind of the direction that Mary and I were planning on heading. So of course, like an intro, and then Ed, if you want to go to the next one. A short explanation of the 3 phases that we're intending, that if it's approved at Springtown meeting, that we'll be back in October or March to do detailed design and bid documents, just like we discussed at the last meeting. And then that would be followed up later by a request for the funding to actually do the construction, but to underscore that we're not expanding the footprint, and we will reconfigure interior space to utilize our space in the most effective way possible. So then the next one is a breakdown of our funding request, which you've all seen. I have funding source listed as TBD because that hasn't been determined yet, whether it will be a raise and appropriate or free cash. I'm very sure an amount of this size would not be a borrow, but I don't know what that source is going to be. But once I know, I will work that in to that slide. And then the next one, why we're doing repairs, just a kind of a review from what we've already, information that we've already shared. And then the next one, Ed, just to illustrate some of the spots where we have problems, some of the like major things that we need repaired. So I have our wiring, and then the next one is our windows. And I think the one after that is bathrooms. Open to suggestions if you want to see something else in there, but I did put in a list of all of the things that are known. That's what these are. And the triggered upgrades, that if we do window replacement or roof replacement, anything that is 30% or more of the value of the building in a 3-year time period triggers ADA compliance, which would mean a new ramp, upgraded elevator, all of those things that you see on the screen. Next one. And then just a wrap up. And that's pretty much it. And cute kids.
Mm-hmm. Maureen, this is Bob. I just had a question going back to the first slide.
Yep. This is the first slide.
No, I'll go up the second slide then when it lists out. See where it says October, the third line, to October 2024, March 25 funding for construction.
Sorry,
Would we use the word? No, just
sorry.
asking.
I thought I had the dates wrong.
No.
Go
The
ahead.
dates are fine. I'm just.
Go ahead.
That's
Sorry.
my point. We had talked last time about, would we say funding for repair? Or
Yes.
I mean, it's a nomen. It's just like it's wordsmithing, and
Yeah.
I don't want to be changing happy to glad. But I mean, the fact is, we talked about the fact
Yes.
that it's repair.
Yep.
Not a people might think it's a brand new huge construction project.
Right. We don't want anybody to misunderstand.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you have it up front, 3-phase repair project. I just thought we changed the word construction to repair.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for catching that. Ed, Walter, did you have a question? You're on mute.
That doesn't help. On that same slide, I just wanted to check my understanding is where it says cost, that's going to be the very preliminary sort of 10% cost estimate that we got to last time, and that the true cost comes from the bidding.
Right. So
Okay.
maybe I should change that to say preliminary cost
That would be good.
or a word. Yeah. Something
Preliminary
Or
very
something
close.
else. The other thing I want to suggest is I really like your slide. I would like to take it out of the bullpen, the one, why do we need a library? Although maybe, why do we repair a library? The one with the number of participants, items checked out, library
yeah.
cards and annual visitors. I think it's a statistical important detail that I think should be included
Okay.
in the presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to add to Walter's point, I think, why do we need a library repair, or however we want to say that?
Yeah.
Why do we need to repair the library or something to that effect?
Okay.
Or it could be just use, library use, and you can speak to the why.
Yep.
Along those same lines, I'd throw the words deferred maintenance in some places, because that had already been identified and should be highlighted, I think.
Okay. Thank you. Lee, did you have a question?
Not a question, a comment. When you say why, the slide for why now, I think it's important to somehow, I'm not exactly sure how, to address why now was because our original request to really reconstruct the library was turned down because of the cost, essentially, so that to emphasize, we as a building committee heard that concern and are responding with what the alternative would be, is the repair. But there may be a few people who come to the town meeting and don't understand that history. So I think it's important to say, we heard you, this is what we're doing. And at that town meeting, we had at least verbal support from other groups that opposed the massive renovation, that they said we would support a repair. So come back and ask for a reasonable price for a repair. I think we need to, in a sort of factual way, hold people's feet to the fire. You said, come back with this, and here we are.
Thank you.
I've been calling on people and not realizing that I was on mute, so I put myself off mute. That's one of my facilitation skills there. One thing I think we should touch on is the need for a comprehensive planned approach rather than trying to do things piecemeal. And I think that a lot of it falls out of the triggered upgrades, but I think we need to make that have a slide on it.
Okay.
One of the things we don't want to do, and I'm not sure whether we want to bring this up explicitly, is get into the kind of situations that Hastings has, where they have a large unexpected expense because they didn't plan for didn't realize that I think it was the roof work and the HVAC work was going to push them over the limit for ADA compliance. Bill?
Yeah, I think the slides and including the comments that have been made are excellent. Maureen, so these slides are going to be used only at the town meeting?
No, I'll be using these for upcoming presentations as well.
Okay. And along with the words that you and Mary are putting in, I'm sure they'll be fine. My concern is that we're going to the two bodies that we got to go to, then we're going at least two, and then the town meeting. But there's no verbiage to the community ahead of time. And we've learned, all of us have learned, that town meeting is, everybody's got questions there. shouldn't we be putting something out in the newspaper or maybe a quick presentation at the, not all of this, but something that backs up all of what we've done in our various construction meetings since for the upgrade, if you want. I don't think we're reaching the public early enough to really explain what we've accomplished so far. And I saw some of that in the remarks that Walter forwarded to us. Nobody's going to go back and listen to all our meetings and see the rest of the thing. So I think we may be missing the boat if we don't get to the public ahead of time. I'll leave it at that.
So Bill, it sounds like what you're suggesting is something like a one-page document based on this that we could hand out or send to newspapers or put on the website or whatever.
At least a one-page document, Ed. I mean, I heard, and I think some of you heard, that we didn't tell the story the last time, and that was as much to do with price. I understand that, but it was also the gap of 7 years in between. So it was hard to bring people up to date. Whereas this is shorter term, but I think some of the comments that have just been made here is that we really need to bring the public up to date in however form that you think is necessary.
Maureen, you did public forums before, several of them. Perhaps that is another good way to do this, as long as we publicize it, with enough notice for people to actually come and have the right size space for it. Enough to that's something that you and Mary can understand well.
Yep. And I do have one scheduled in March at the senior center that just came together at the end of last week. So I'll start getting that information out to let people know. And that's a later item on our agenda for today as well.
I think Lee's comments are good, and I'm glad to hear that you're putting that together, Maureen. But again, we found in the presentation, and I was at, I guess, 85, 90% of them, is that it's a very small part of the population. And what we heard at town meeting was that we got a big, a lot to accomplish with 750 against and 454. There's an awful lot there that are still have misgivings about doing anything. So I think we need to, we've done our homework, I think, but we haven't told the public, and the public doesn't go back and look at all the details that we have. So that's enough, but I think we need to get out there somehow, whether it's paper or it's not just in the presentation, which the presentations are great, but Maureen and Mary, you both saw the small part of the people that came to it, and it's the broader section of the community that we need to reach those voting members. That's enough. Thank you.
It occurs to me the candidates night forum is coming up pretty soon. I wonder if there'd be any chance of getting 5 minutes of that for a library member to present this.
Good idea.
What's coming out, Ed? I missed it.
The candidates forum.
Well, go. Well, the candidates forum for the library is.
I'm thinking about there's some trustees running for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's 5 people on the ballot. I don't remember exactly.
Right.
But I'm wondering if we could get 5 minutes dedicated to the library where me or Maureen or Mary could stand up and say, and maybe not even 5 minutes, 2 minutes or something. So just to inform the town, here's what we're planning to do.
So
Yeah,
Ed, we can definitely do that at the March 1st library candidates night.
Okay.
And if you wanted to request time at the town-wide candidates forum, we're not running that, but
Right. Yeah.
our candidates will be participating most likely. So, but we organized and are running the library candidates night on March 1st.
Right.
So we can definitely do that. So maybe you and Mary and I can talk offline and figure out a plan for that.
Okay, that would be great.
Yeah, that's a good thing, but again, going back to how many have participated in the past when it hasn't been, well, it's been on Westborough TV, but again, I'm getting to the point of the broader population that we really need to address to overcome the negative parts that have looked at it. You've got good things here in the slide. I'm saying ahead of time, before town meeting, to get to the public so we have a better shot at getting this through. I think we've done a great job. The public doesn't see that yet.
It's, yeah, I doubt we'll get as many people for this project, which is roughly 1/100th the cost of what came to town meeting in November. So, but we do want to keep people informed. That's why I was thinking about seeing if we could get involved with the townwide one, because that is a wider population than just the than might turn out for the library candidates night. It'll get people who don't care so much about the library, I guess, or it might anyway. Lee.
Hi. Well, it's the Democratic Town Committee who sponsors that meeting. So having Maureen and Mary talk to a representative from there, I think would work well. Would we want to consider having a full-fledged presentation on Westborough TV that anybody can just pull up anytime they want to, of Maureen going through the slides? And then you can always say we put it out there. Anybody in the town who wanted to go there could and see it. And then I wonder if we should invite, or at least offer, to come to the Congo Church group and go over our reaction to the last town meeting and what we've done in response, because they were a particularly concerned, cohesive group. It might be good to at least, let them say, no, we don't need you, instead of wondering why we never went to them.
That's a good point, Lee.
Well, Lydia Goldblatt taught me it's always better to invite people and let them say no thanks.
Right. And explain to them this is a much scaled back version. I mean, this is just a basic repair. It's a whole different ball game.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, and one that would not infringe on their side, I believe. Okay. So, group, what do you, Sean, I see your hand up, have your hand up.
Hey, Ed, thank you very much. Hey, sorry for being late. I think in addition with the Congregation Church, I don't know if anybody's spoken to them directly about the decision regarding the agreement with the church, and the decision to sort of end that agreement. I think also having that discussion and explaining that to them face to face would be beneficial if that hasn't happened yet.
That has not.
I got the sense that some members seemed a little surprised.
Would we?
At the same subject, it was publicized what the church had to say about it. I guess I didn't see anything from the library. I know Maureen spoke to Christie, I guess, but we didn't have our letter. So the public looks at one side and they're interpreting based on comments that were said. I'm not saying that they're wrong or right. I'm just saying there's not a comparison of two statements.
Also, would we ever meet with the Parkman Street folks, including Rod and the others? Because we can certainly say that we've completely gone back to the drawing board. We're completely scaling back. It's just a repair. We're not going to be going through all this extra construction, especially Mr. Schaffert, who we accommodated most of his concerns, and then he came up and said it was going to cost 50 million at the meeting, which upset me.
I just wanted to say that I think that I think it's a good idea to have interactions with some groups, but the reality is that interaction should be between step 1 and 2, because we will collect information on what we'll actually be doing, and then go get feedback from various people as to, you can actually meet and talk about ideas and plans and what's going on. This first amount of money, which is a very small amount, is to be able to hire our architects and OPM to start the investigation. So while I agree that it is important to get in touch with people because it doesn't hurt, what you were just talking about, all the neighbors and everything like that, that it seems more appropriate when you have a plan.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit there, Walter, because one of the
That's
things we
good.
want to do is figure out what options we're going to put into the plan, and the neighbors' input could be valuable for that.
Well, if we don't have any money to hire the architect,
Yeah, we have to wait. Oh, okay. Yeah, no.
I think, and you only have a
After we get
month to
funding for
town
phase
meeting.
1, and during phase 1, after it's funded, is when to have that discussion. After we get funding for phase 1 is when to have that discussion.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was my sort of thought, but yeah, it certainly doesn't hurt to reach out to people. But in terms of a large public initiative, I think that should be done with while we're actually gathering data.
Yep. I should point out also that Rod, whose last name I suddenly can't remember because I've gone brain dead, is on the Advisory Finance Committee and is familiar with this content, has actually commented on the architectural proposal. So,
Rod Schaefer.
Rod Schaefer, thank you. Lee.
Yeah, I respectfully disagree. I don't think we can do enough ahead of time. We are explaining that we're going to have to spend money, so we need support for that. So I think it isn't really a big push to have something for television on Westborough TV, to meet with the neighbors and to meet with whoever from the church might want to meet with us. I think those are pretty simple, containable efforts, but I don't think we can do enough. To Bill's concern about telling people ahead of time and being able to say, look, we met with the neighbors, we met with the people who were upset at the church. We're trying very hard to reach out to the community, and this is what we've done in good faith.
Should we try and schedule a public forum that's focused on the neighbors, where we specifically invite them? I think anyone would be welcome, but they get some kind of notification.
We could even combine the neighbors, the church are neighbors, Parkman Street are neighbors, and just say this is how we define neighbors, and anybody else across the street, contiguous neighbors.
Yeah, last time I invited everyone on Parkman and then everyone within like a 300-foot radius, I think, of the library. So it was everyone who faces us all the way down to like past town hall, I think. And then like back in the neighborhoods. So I would just do that again. I still have the same list.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea to do. Yep. Mary?
So I agree with Walter. I think it's really good to reach out to all these groups, but I think in the limited time that we have now, I think the focus needs to be on what information we can out. So I like the idea of doing one public forum, perhaps at the library, where you invite all those people, but I think it would be a miss on our opportunity for time if we split our efforts to all these little meetings. we do one focus meeting now that explains where we are and moving forward. And then I do think between step 1 and step 2, when we have a little bit more information as a group and we know what direction we might be going in or what possibilities there are, to then meet with these smaller groups and see their thoughts on impact. But I also think it's important to get something in the paper.
So I can support what Mary's saying, there's no question. I think, Mary, if we somehow get it out, either in the paper or on TV, that we're having that meeting and it's not just coming from the library, at least the invitation is broader, and let's try it that way. So.
So what I'm hearing is we already have a meeting scheduled in the senior center. We should have a public forum at the library to which the neighbors are invited. We can ask Maureen to do her presentation for Westborough TV, and we can come up with essentially a press release or a write-up and or a press release to go to all the usual channels. Mm-hmm. And that certainly won't reach everybody because a lot of people aren't paying attention, but it's a fair chunk of outreach.
Yeah, Ed, I think that's good. Maybe Maureen can get a broader audience at the senior center. The last time it wasn't as broad as it could have been, so let's try a little bit harder to get them into.
And the purpose is just to make sure everybody's on the same page as we are, that it's not going to be a major renovation. It's going to be base repairs. Here's the base repairs that we're going to be doing. It won't be that major disruption to their neighborhoods or to the adjacent properties, and kind of explain it that way, that this is where we're going. It's a much scaled back version from what we did at the 2 different meetings that we did this fall. So they know.
Primarily, I would say yes, but Maureen and Mary are already working on some words, so they can take it from that and incorporate what we're talking about.
Okay.
Okay. So I think we're giving ourselves our marching orders: meeting at the senior center, which is already on the books, public forum at the library inviting neighbors, presentation to go up on Westborough TV. And I suppose we might want to put that on the library website as well. It'd be, and maybe on the library's Facebook page. It'd be interesting to see what kind of comments that draws.
Yep.
And then a press release and write up. Maureen, is that going to be feasible? And do you need any help from this group or the trustees to do that?
I'll probably ask for some just review of a press release before we send it out. And I may ask for a review of slides before I present them next week, but other than that, no.
Great. Do we have anything else for dates, locations? The agenda item, we sort of jumped to it, is dates, locations, presenters for public information sessions in March. Do you want to set up those logistic details now, Maureen, or?
Yes. Mary and Ed, or Mary and Lee both have hands up though. I don't know if that's related to this or not.
Yeah, go ahead, Mary, or whoever's on. Okay.
Nope, total.
Mary pulled her hand down. Lee, you've got your hand up. You're on mute.
Yeah, I just want to continue to emphasize that one of the messages, you were saying what the main message is, Ed, but I think part of that main message is we heard what you told us at the last town meeting, and we heard you say as different committees that you would support this kind of effort. I think that has to be repeated again and again. We expect your support because you told us you would give it to us at town meeting if we dropped this whole other idea. So however we want to say that, I think it's got to be repeated. We're doing our part. We need you to do your part in a gentle but persistent way.
Okay. Let's jump back for a moment. Is there anything else on that Maureen, do you want to pick out dates, or is that something still in the air?
I probably need to coordinate offline with Mary about that.
Okay.
So we
Okay.
can figure out where we can fit it in.
Great. Don't hesitate to call on me for help in any phase of that.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to jump back to something we sort of skipped, which is the annual town meeting warrant article on the agenda item. So there is a draft town meeting article, which has the appropriate number, the 345,000. Does the committee want to see that? Maureen, do you want to show it to the group?
Sure, I can show it to the group.
Okay, I'm going to stop my share.
Give me a sec and I will find it.
While Maureen's looking for that, I will say the Capital Expenditure Committee, I'm not sure if that's the right title, met, was that last week? And heard a presentation by Maureen on the generally plans for the library and on the request for town meeting in particular. And they unanimously voted in favor of the draft article that we're about to see.
Okay, here we go. Can everyone see that? So it's this article number 11. And once the wording is finalized, it will have the appropriate funding mechanism that I mentioned earlier. It won't say raise and appropriate, borrow, or transfer from available funds. It will have one of those.
Any questions or comments about the article? Sean, you've got your hand up. And you're on mute.
So we are, so this mentions design here. Now it's my understanding that phase 2 was also design. So what's the difference between the two if we're mentioning design here?
This will be the schematic design where we figure out what we want to do and come up with a general cost estimate for a preliminary cost estimate for that. Phase 2 will be the detailed design, where we pin it down to the point where we can send out bid documents.
Gotcha. So maybe in the article information, we mention that it's specifically schematic design development. So that people understand, and it's not going further than that, right? We're not getting to final design with this amount of money.
It's good to clarify that. Maureen, is it logistically possible to make that change still in the
I think so. I mean, it says here in the article information that if approved, we would begin work on the needs assessment and schematic design, needs assessment / schematic design, and come back to fund design development.
Got it. Yeah, no, I think that's okay.
Do you think that's clear enough, Sean, or should we ask Christy to explain that a little bit more?
No, I think that's fine. I guess we are saying there that this is for some design, but then, you know, there is going to be future design work still required. So we're not saying this gets us all the way. So I think I'm okay.
I would suggest put the word schematic in this article would fund schematic design for library repairs.
Okay.
I agree. If it's not possible, it'll go. But if you know, if they're going to be touching the article again for whatever reason, I'd ask them to put that in.
Yep,
it's not all these get revised.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And Christy writes the article information,
right,
or gets the information from the proponent and crafts it. So you can they'll change that.
Lee?
Yeah,
Yeah, if you can go back to the slide, Maureen, where you show the phase one, and we have the costs there. I think this addresses the same thing. If we say preliminary cost estimate instead
Can
of
you
just
pull that up, Ed?
cost. Yeah, I think we could
Are we
clarify
looking
it.
at the slides?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah,
the
just a sec.
phase one costs slide.
Share the screen back here.
It's the one right before that.
Yeah.
This one.
Okay. Yep. So if we say study design or maybe schematic design and preliminary cost estimate.
Then it doesn't fit.
I'll make it fit. It might have to go to 2 lines, but I'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Okay. It just clarifies it. Thank you.
Anything else? Any other discussion on the town meeting article? Okay, any other building related discussion?
Yeah, well, I sent everybody concerns from Rod Shafford on the article, so I think I would think there would be a combination. It'd certainly be mostly LPA to answer that, but some of that might be our OPM as well on that. But I think we need those answered by next Monday's meeting with the AFC.
Tony, do you have any details on that? I know Eric had to step out, but did he leave you any info to share about those comments?
Unfortunately not. I was out all last week, so I haven't had much of a chance to touch base with him about this project.
Okay.
I think he did say that he was going to take a look at it and get back to you.
This is Brian. I saw those questions as well. Those are good questions. We'll make sure that I'll get with Eric and make sure that those get presented before your meeting, Walter.
It's great.
Okay. Great. And I know Mr. Boulary is going to be sending in some comments as well. I imagine some of those at least will be in your bailiwick, Tony, and LPAA and Vertex and all. So we will probably be sending those over for you to rail papers too as well.
So these comments by Mr. Shafford are through his role as a member of the Advisory Finance Committee and not as a neighbor who was adamantly opposed to the project as a neighbor. So he's asking this with his hat on, his Finance Committee hat.
Yes, that's how I work with him. Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know that he's adamantly opposed to the repair of the library.
Okay.
He actually is in the construction industry. So just in case you're feeling picked on, all the DPW articles and other school and other construction articles, he has similar expertise, knowledge, and desire to know questions far beyond many of our abilities to look at construction things that aren't in the industry. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it isn't just library stuff.
And he did at the town meeting say he would support a repair instead of the article that we brought forward. He actually stated that on the town meeting floor, not as a member of the AFC. I think he did it from the
They'd have to
microphone
do
in the
that
back.
on town meeting. You can't talk for the AFC.
Right. Yeah.
So no one can. So, unless we're specifically asked a question, and then it would usually be the chair. But yeah, he took the interest to read it, and it's not unusual for AFC people to dig into the parts that they're more interested in.
Okay. Any other comments?
No, other than I will tell you the AFC meeting next Monday night is a hybrid meeting. It'll also be broadcast live on Westborough TV. So if people want to watch, there will be either Zoom link, or you could watch just live on Westborough TV if you're planning on just watching as an option. And then if you're really excited, the next night, I guess, Sean, you're having them at the select board meeting, or having this at the select board meeting. So
Yes.
that is also some public information too.
Okay. So Maureen, I at least would like to get the invitations for the select board and the AFC meetings next
I'll
week.
send them to the
I'll
whole
plan to be on
committee.
those. Okay, great. Thank you.
And do we need to meet next Tuesday?
I'm thinking that's probably a good idea. Not least so that we can have a discussion about the various comments we've gotten from the public, and start addressing that. We'll also want to finalize dates for the public meetings, dates and speakers and all that. So that'll be our regular meeting on February 28th at 3:30. Any other discussion related for the building committee? Hearing nothing, I would like to, can we have a move to adjourn? Lee, you're on mute.
We're adjourning on time.
It happens every once in a while.
That's great. That's really
Well,
great.
but somebody has
Thank
to
you.
actually make the motion before we can do it, though.
I'll move to adjourn.
Have a second?
Gordon, second.
Okay, I'll go through the members. Maureen,
Amy, yes.
Ed Baldwin, yes. Walter,
Leslie, yes.
Bob,
Drusella, yes.
Al,
Gordon, yes.
Lee,
Emery, yes.
Pete,
Dunbeck, yes.
Bill,
Lenane, yes.
Sean,
EO, yes.
and Merrick.
Johnston, yes.
And I don't think I missed anyone in terms of board members. Okay, this meeting is adjourned, and we will talk again next Tuesday, same place, same time. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.